Welcome back to The Signal and the Noise, Episode 5, and we're back with another mind-bending topic.
Let me guess. Dan Koe again?
You know it! But honestly, this one might be the most practical episode yet.
All right, I'm intrigued. What's the topic?
You can learn anything in 2 weeks.
Wait, what? 2 weeks? That sounds like clickbait.
That's exactly what I thought when I first read it. But Dan isn't saying you can become a master in 2 weeks. He's saying you can acquire the specific knowledge necessary to get results toward a specific goal in 2 weeks.
Okay, there's a difference there. Explain.
So think about it this way. Schools train you to spend 12 plus hours with your nose in a textbook to take an exam where 95% of the knowledge you acquired goes out the window. And when it comes to real-world results, less than 1% of that knowledge actually applies.
Ouch. That's harsh, but probably true.
Right. Dan says we're completely wasting most of the time we spend learning. Schools train you to learn extremely slow, but if you spent time learning how to learn, you could achieve 10 goals in the time it takes the average person to achieve 1.
That's a bold claim. So what's the secret?
That's what we're breaking down today. Let's dive in. Okay, so let's start with Dan's fundamental insight. Everything you can do is a skill.
Everything? That's pretty broad.
That's Dan's point, and it simplifies life quite a bit. If something is a skill, it can be learned, it can be practiced, it can be mastered.
But most people try to learn skills as a whole, right?
Exactly. And Dan says that's a massive, disordered task, like choosing to learn the guitar.
That's not clear.
We're talking about 5 years of extensive study and practice. There are tens of thousands of resources telling you the right way to learn guitar.
So how do we shortcut this?
By understanding that skills are composed of techniques. Dan gives a perfect example with guitar. Instead of learning guitar, you start by choosing a song you want to play. Start with the purpose. Then you're immediately in a dilemma. You don't know how to play the first note, so you search for a resource that teaches you that specific note and finger placement. You repeat that process of trial and error over a day or two, and you'll probably be able to play the song, even if it sounds terrible.
Right. The more you practice, the better you play that specific song. When you move to the next song, you realize the techniques you learned, bar chords, mutes, whatever, make it easier to learn faster.
So you're stacking techniques.
Precisely. Dan gives another example with Photoshop. Most people would watch an hour-long tutorial covering every tool. But you start with what you want to do. Create an image.
Purpose first again.
Yes. Then you search for a specific technique, like removing the background of a tree. You find 3 different ways to do it, try them out, one works well, and boom, you've learned a critical piece of Photoshop.
And as those techniques stack, you can effectively create most things you set your mind to.
Exactly. You've saved countless hours of learning nonsense you won't use, and you can get results fast.
Okay, so skills are groups of techniques. But how does this actually work in the brain?
Great question. Dan says skills are a group of neural pathways that form through repetition. A technique is a single neural pathway, a single piece of the skill puzzle.
So when I collect enough pieces...
When you collect enough to see about 80% of the image, you can infer most of what you need to get results. Dan gives the example of Spanish. If you understand a few techniques to speak Spanish, you can at least string a sentence together.
Even if it's not perfect.
Right. You might say, "What can I buy water?" instead of "Where is the nearest place to buy water bottles?" But you'll get your point across and accomplish your goal.
That's actually really empowering. So what about something harder, like making money?
Dan addresses this. He says making money is something everyone wants to do, but few people see as a skill that can be learned. Why? Because money is deeply intertwined with our self-image, emotions, and survival.
It's hard to see money as within your direct control.
Exactly. We carry the burden of conditioning from our parents, teachers, life experiences. But Dan says if you peel back all the irrational thought barriers and actually start doing the thing, you'd realize making more money can be learned quite fast.
Not in a get-rich-quick way.
No, in a way that's similar to learning how to shoot a three-pointer. A beginner might have a 5% chance out of luck, but a pro has a 99% chance without much effort.
So how do you apply technique stacking to making money?
You start with the purpose. Make money. You need a product or service and a customer. You look up a technique for finding a profitable idea. You start building the product. You don't know how to attract customers, so you look up techniques: social media content, paid ads, direct outreach. You pick one, you try it.
And you stack techniques.
Exactly. Every technique you learn increases your earning potential. Dan calls this progressive overload, like in the gym. You don't throw 315 pounds on the bar when you've never lifted. You start light, struggle, come back, and lift more.
Now we get to what Dan calls the missing ingredient to learning absurdly fast.
Which is?
Pure focus.
That's it? Just focus.
Not just focus, pure focus. Dan writes it out, P-U-R-E-F-O-C-U-S. Absolutely nothing else. You and the task. No thought, no distraction.
That sounds intense.
It is. Dan says you literally cease to exist. You become one with reality. Input and output merge. Every slice of information going into your brain is instantly transformed into raw material that is put into reality like a lock and key.
Like flow state.
Exactly. And Dan says most people in today's world have never experienced this. Sometimes it happens naturally. You enter a period of intensity where your mind collapses on a clear goal. Pattern recognition kicks into overdrive.
But most of the time?
Most of the time, it doesn't happen at all. Learning is a boring grind. And that's where Dan introduces a tool he deploys when his mind is filled with dissonance.
What tool?
Tactical stress.
Tactical stress. That sounds ominous.
It's basically environment engineering. Dan gives a personal example. He learned After Effects in about 2 weeks because he filled his YouTube video storyboard with animations he didn't know how to make.
So he forced himself into a corner.
Exactly. He has to create videos each week. It's a habit that allows him to survive. If he doesn't put the video out, entropy releases and his entire work system starts to unravel.
So the pain of not doing it is greater than the pain of learning it.
Perfect. Dan defines tactical stress as putting yourself in a high-pressure situation that creates a strong deadline to achieve the goal you've been meaning to achieve.
Give me more examples.
Quitting your job to make your business work. Moving into an apartment you can't afford to push for that new career. Saying hi to the person you're attracted to, so you have to start some kind of conversation.
You either make it work or you get crushed.
Right. And Dan says this is so effective because most people tend to fall into what he calls the idle state. They numb themselves before they hit rock bottom.
They never allow the pain of where they are to outweigh the pain of where they want to be.
Exactly. That's when you deploy tactical stress, right when you notice the pain of your current situation holding you back, to avoid repeating the same 6 months for the rest of your life.
So it's intentionally creating urgency.
Yes! Dan says, put yourself in an environment that nearly forces you to learn what you need to learn as fast as humanly possible to achieve the goal that launches you into the next phase of life.
That's actually brilliant, but also terrifying.
It is! But think about it. When have you learned the fastest in your life?
Probably when I had no choice, when I was under pressure.
Exactly. That's tactical stress at work.
So let's summarize Dan's framework for learning anything in 2 weeks.
All right, break it down.
Step 1, start with the purpose. Don't try to learn a skill. Identify what you want to do with that skill.
Purpose first, always.
Step 2, break it into techniques. Skills are just collections of techniques. Find the specific techniques you need for your specific goal.
Technique stacking.
Step 3, use progressive overload. Start with what you can handle, struggle through it, and gradually increase difficulty.
Like the gym.
Step 4, create pure focus. Eliminate distractions. Become one with the task. Enter flow state if possible.
And if you can't?
Step 5, deploy tactical stress. Put yourself in an environment that forces you to learn fast. Create urgency. Make the pain of not learning greater than the pain of learning.
So it's not really about intelligence or talent.
Not at all. It's about strategy, focus, and environment.
Okay, let's extract the key signals.
Signal number 1, you're wasting most of the time you spend learning. Schools train you to learn slow, but you can achieve 10 goals in the time it takes others to achieve 1 if you learn how to learn.
Signal number 2, skills are composed of techniques. Don't try to learn guitar or learn Photoshop. Stack individual techniques toward a specific goal.
Signal number 3, start with the purpose. Choose what you want to create or accomplish, then search for the techniques you need to achieve it.
Signal number 4, progressive overload works for the mind just like it works for the body. Start small, struggle, increase difficulty gradually.
Signal number 5, pure focus is the missing ingredient. When you and the task become one, learning accelerates dramatically.
And signal number 6, tactical stress forces rapid learning. Put yourself in a high-pressure situation that makes learning non-negotiable.
The core message? You can learn anything in 2 weeks if you focus on acquiring specific techniques for a specific goal rather than trying to master an entire skill.
It's about being strategic, not grinding mindlessly.
Exactly. So here's your challenge this week. Pick one thing you've been wanting to learn. Define exactly what you want to do with it. Then find 3 to 5 techniques you need to accomplish that specific goal.
Don't watch the full tutorial, just learn what you need.
Perfect. And if you're feeling bold, deploy some tactical stress. Create a deadline, make it public. Put yourself in a position where you have to deliver.
And that's episode 5 of The Signal and the Noise. This one was super practical.
It really was. We'll link Dan Koe's full article in the show notes. Go read it, there's great examples we didn't have time to cover.
Next week, we're switching gears to a completely different topic. Stay tuned.
Until next time, cut through the noise, find the signal.
See you next week.